With the growing challenges of life in light of both global and domestic development, the Christian is faced with the difficult task of balancing survival within a secular system and at the same time living a Christian life that pleases their Maker. It is for this reason that we need to have frank conversations on the many issues of life through the Christian lens. So, we bring to you Let's Talk About. On Let's Talk About, we talk about health, career, dating, marriage, family, divorce, politics, finance, and all the issues of life that the Christian is confronted with on a daily basis. Join us this and every Wednesday on the YouTube and Facebook pages of Trinity United Church Legon, and let's talk about life as Christians. With the growing challenges of life in light of both
Hello, good evening, viewers, and welcome to Let's Talk About. Let's Talk About is a program by Trinity United Church where we talk about social issues and try to address the Christian's perspective. Today, we are going to talk about climate change and the role of Christians in minimizing its impact. We are lucky to have with us Mr. Atta Ejapon, who is a member of Trinity United Church, to help us with this discussion. Remember that we are live on our social media platforms, Facebook and YouTube on Trinity United Church. If you have any comments, any suggestions, do well to put them in the comment section. So let's start with Mr. Atejapon. Good to have you here today.
Yeah, good to see you as well.
Okay. So we've been hearing for many years now, people talk about climate change, global warming. It looks so distant, but of late, it looks like it's coming home.
Yeah.
So what exactly is climate change?
Yeah, climate change is basically a prolonged variation in weather condition.
Okay.
Normally, when you are dealing with weather, sometimes you can have small variation. Sometimes you can also have cycles. Maybe every 10 years we have drought.
Okay.
Or every 6 years we have flood.
Okay.
But climate change is where the variation, the change, becomes intense and prolonged. And that's what we call it climate change.
Okay. Okay, very good.
Yeah.
Very good. If I had to be explaining what you just said, you mentioned a lot of weather, prolonged, all these words.
Yeah.
If I had to explain this to a 5-year-old or to my grandmom in the village who just doesn't understand what is happening, how would you bring this home, this definition, in a very simple term?
Very simple term mean temperatures are rising.
Okay.
They are becoming hotter than before.
All right.
And it's not just 1 month, but then it continues the whole year and the years after. Until ebia uswa. We are in June. Okay. So we're done about form. And I can shoot to. When we say the past 3 years, in June to. A sure neighbor. That's climate change.
Very good. So that reminds me of hearing people say that the Harmattan has run away. You know, years ago when we were kids, there was a particular time of the year that you are almost certain that Harmattan will come in. Yeah. But for some time now, it looks all, you know. So I think that is a typical example.
It's a good example.
Okay,
it's a good example.
So how do we know, beyond this definition, what are some of the things that we see around us, apart from the weather, which is directly, maybe we are feeling extremely cold, or maybe when we are expecting the rain, it's not coming, and the heat lasts for a longer period. What exactly happens around us beyond just the weather that vividly tells us that we are also experiencing climate change?
Okay, let me take the discussion outside Ghana.
Okay.
If you look at Africa, I mean southern part of Africa, between January and June this year, 15 countries, they've all experienced flood, intense flood. People have been displaced, livelihood systems have been disrupted. And if you go to Asia, we experience extreme heat condition. It's very unusual, and that should tell you that the weather itself is not the normal ones we used to see. Okay. Come home to Ghana, you realize that now we are having intense rains. They come, heavy downpour. We've seen more flooding. When we expect rains, we don't even see them. So these are some of the signs. Okay. We are bokrana so onam how to say we are no anoshi. So you taught me say anointing. That's true. From one bar anointing. Na man for dance up. But in the past, we say Daniel's in the but the fact is that it is becoming intense than the usual pattern.
Okay. Let me ask you a research-based question.
Yeah.
So, has there been any research or evidence to show that it's all these climate change is humanly caused?
Oh, yes.
Okay, so if you can talk to us
they've done all the research. And the good news is that it has gotten the attention of UN, and that's why they have the Sustainable Development Goals. They have 17 of them. Okay. I think goal number 13 is climate action. Now, what is intriguing for me is that climate action is that the main risk to all the other 16. Okay. So, so the research has shown that the earth is becoming warmer and warmer. Okay. Okay? But let me step back. You see, when God created the earth, it was a perfect balance. He has human beings, then they have the trees, you have the weather, you have the sun. Part of the heat comes to us so that we feel warm. Part of the heat is deflected. And in between the clouds, it retains some of the heat to keep the earth warm. Okay. So that's why we have this thing. Now, because of human activity, increasingly we are generating more pollutants, things that generate heat. And then we are also removing the very things that God created. That's trees. You know, the trees will absorb the carbon dioxide, turn them into food so that we can eat. The air that we don't like, we breathe it out, and the trees will take them out. So once we are removing the trees and we are producing more of the CO2, it's becoming an imbalance. Okay? So the natural heat that God gave us, we are adding more heat. And that's the heat that is coming back to us. So that's the reason why we're experiencing more. So the earth has to find a new balance. And that's why we are seeing all this confusion.
Okay. Yeah. So I noticed that you've mentioned a lot of heat and warmth.
Yeah.
What about the countries that do not really, on a normal day, experience a lot of heat? Are they still affected by climate change?
Yes,
so what do they experience?
Like I mentioned, for instance, those in Asia, I do recall there was a time, was it in Haiti, there was a smoke. It affected the next country, and they had to shut down all their airports because of the smoke. Okay. So whatever we do here, it affects another country. Okay. It warms the skies, and that's why we are bearing the heat.
Okay, so I think I should put the question this way. Does climate change affect coldness? I'm asking this because we hear people talk about global warming.
Yes.
We don't hear global freezing.
Yeah.
And then we hear climate change. Yeah. And so if you are in a country that is cold, during this whole experience of climate change, do you also experience extreme coldness? Is there a possibility of what happens?
Yes. Okay. Yes, they experience extreme coldness, and sometimes they cannot even predict when they are going to have summer. Okay. So the normal summer that they used to enjoy, they are seeing a different summer these days. Okay. And sometimes you can have intense cold weather. Okay. Sometimes they are normal. But what is intriguing is that you can see that something is changing. Is that a normal thing? Okay. Yeah.
What are some of the global effects?
Yeah.
We started talking about climate change, obviously because there were very significant effects of it on the global economy.
Yeah.
Before we come to Ghana, globally,
Yeah.
what are some of the very significant effects of this climate change?
Okay. You see, because the climate is changing, we are generating more heat. Iriemu sesa. Into oshu bebree ba. Na oshu ni nti no, edi nsusuaso bebree ba. And I'll name a couple of them.
Okay.
One, like it happened with the floods, there are problems with migration. You are in your home, your country, and something happened without notice, and immediately you are displaced. Yeah. It comes with all the problems associated with people we call migrants. You are not never on your own. Somebody has to cater for you. And if your country is not robust enough to hold the emergency situation, I mean, it's a crisis situation. Yeah. So that's number one. Number two is that we are also having what we call the climate crisis. Extreme weather events, extreme downpour. We are also getting disruptions in the ecosystem. And more, if you say a new one, either they are disappearing or new ones are coming. Okay? And so, and second part. Third part, no say, a human rights issue. Okay. So, obi huachre no. And incidentally, sometimes even people who offer support end up abusing, especially the kids and the women. And so it's a big topic. If I give one example, increasingly in Ghana, where people who live on cocoa, because it's a cocoa ni so say they say so. What the major no? Into Bia and Adrian say, a fee menyesi no. It's never the case. Yeah. And if the situation continues as we have now, where we have cocoa growing now, in the next 10 years, unless we have drought-resistant crops, cocoa might disappear. Okay. So what is good is that you have information. When we intervene, we can mitigate. But if we do nothing, then we should expect the worst. Okay. Because of the sovereignty.
Yeah, so coming back to Ghana and the effect.
Yeah.
I heard you mention cocoa.
Yeah.
But I think we have other food crops that are seasonal.
Yes.
And of late, I think they can't even predict the seasons,
right.
which are causing high prices.
Right.
And
You're
that
right.
is
yes.
absolutely worrying to us.
Yes.
So let's talk about Ghana in policy.
Yes.
Is the government doing something to actually mitigate all the effect of climate change? The government of Ghana, are there policies, are there places you have to go? What is the government doing?
When you're about Ghana, you can't say paperwork. We are number one. Anything that takes Ghana to be number one, we have them. Come to policy, come to the regulation, come whatever. Our key challenge is putting resources and doing the right thing. So if you want to listen to Ghana, don't ask for paperwork. You get everything. But the will, the leadership, and the commitment to do what is right is what is missing. So you can get all the documentation, climate action document, whatever, there's budget for it. But sometimes the severity of the issue is simply beyond government. Okay. It needs a high level of investment. It needs money for research. We have to be intentional. And maybe when it comes to the role of Christians, I would highlight some of them.
Okay. So would you say that literacy has a role to play in our approach as not just Ghana, but maybe the African region in issues related to climate change? Do you think people do not still understand? Is it that people feel it's a myth? Do they really believe that something is happening? Or they don't believe it? They
believe something is happening. I'll not put a finger on literacy. Because in some of the work that I've been involved, ubusa omo manko school na obetimi acho say ewia na obo. Ewie mo asesa. So the knowledge is there.
Okay.
How to take that knowledge to the next step, I think that's a missing gap.
Okay.
But they will tell you.
Okay.
But you know, and this first, no, contumely and this first, no. I fertilizer. So they know something is changing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So let me go to our coastal area.
Yeah.
Just so you can talk a bit on the effect or the impact of it here in Ghana.
Yeah.
We know what happens when it rains. We take the Keta coastal region.
Yeah.
Can you use that situation to bring home what we are talking about in terms of climate change?
Okay.
What really happens at Keta?
I'll not limit myself to Keta.
Okay.
Growing up, there was climate change discussion in my home.
Okay.
I never knew the topic was climate change. You see, my late father was researching. His main job from the International Cocoa Federation was to investigate the effect of the Volta Dam on cocoa production in Ghana, Togo, and Benin.
Okay.
Okay? And what I was reading some of his notes, he would call us, and what we noticed that as soon as they had the dam, the water rise, the cropping system in the whole of the Volta region, Togo and Benin, changed. Because, you know, God had created a balance. And by creating the dam, it created a disbalance. So we had groundwater now rising. The soil that could hold cocoa and other trees could no longer hold them. And people's livelihoods were at risk.
Okay.
In the same, when you get to the Keta area, you know Keta is below the sea level, but with the rains, the normal regime, people could live. But as soon as the flow regime was truncated, people lost their livelihood. Yeah. So if you go to Keta, they will tell you where their former houses were. And for me, now when I go there, I can now appreciate what it means not to take care of our life.
Yeah.
Yeah. Abusuafo dem can say climate change. Mimi so anona minim say mi papa ye bibi around climate change. Mi hu ade a Volta Dam me nyina ni age nya kanea. But a household which yenka, and I think I will come to that. A base cocoa beira in Volta region, Pando area to Togo to Benin. So now if I see it, I know it's science.
Okay.
So I can appreciate what is going on along Keta. Yeah.
Okay. So perhaps the issue of health is something that is always spoken about when we talk about climate change.
Yeah.
But I want you to give some examples, because sometimes we hear climate change. I probably live in Medina, Ashalibotre, and I feel apart from the sunshine, the coastal region is not close to me. I mean, it will flood today, it will flood tomorrow, everything else goes on.
Yeah.
But I want you to speak about the health implication of climate change.
Okay.
How does it affect our health?
Okay. Number one, over to use your Obenya and Tuntumbia, almost red rubia. No matter how you spray, they come back. Because of the heat, we are getting new variants that we don't even know. Farmers are confronted with pests that they are struggling to manage. Inti dia de no moye. So the draw guswa instead so befa I can say atremano. Ufi say a sort double no because abwanani adding. So we are adding more chemicals. We are adding more pollutants. What the major now? And they end up in our system. In tobacco klebu, young person will see when you have kidney failure. So, you would say, those days, some of these things were not there. It's because we are trying to respond to some of the new things that we didn't know. And because we also don't have the knowledge to deal with them, we end up applying things in the extremes. Yeah. And they end up affecting our health. So if you talk to medics, they are always finding new things. It's not sometimes frightening. Yeah. And we are unable to keep pace with research, with knowledge. So, hunkakra.
Yummy. Okay, viewers. So if you just joined us, we are here talking about climate change. If you have any comments, any suggestions, do well and leave them in the comment section. You are also welcome to send us a WhatsApp message on 0501 579-996. We are here with Mr. Ate Japon, who is a member of Trinity United Church, and I do hope that we all learn one or two things today. Okay, so let's focus now on, we've spoken about a lot of effects of climate change. Now, would you say that we have a particular age bracket that is at risk when it comes to the effect of climate change, or everyone is?
I think everyone is at risk.
Okay.
Yeah, pregnant women, because of the heat wave, you know, the aged, they can't stay and sleep well. The kids will have to go to school. The rooms are hot. If you are not endowed enough to have an AC, it means they are having less sleeping time. So you see a certain level of aggression.
Yeah.
Now, it's because people are restless. And we think everything is, you have to be fast. But when you don't sleep well, when you don't eat well, and when you don't manage yourself well, and the environment is toxic, we suffer health-wise. So I would say along the continuum, everybody is at risk. But if you have a precondition existing, then you are overly exposed and you become vulnerable.
Okay. Okay.
Until climate change, the kaina, a kankola, even nursing mothers, akola na show deno, untimi na. Obisusa, o mother no untimi na. Bema no so ka hono, ono so ni bo food dada, on the major. So every day, deficit.
Okay.
So on the major no, until once why ha.
Okay.
So it's a serious issue. Yeah. So.
Before we talk about the role of the Christian in minimizing the impact of climate change, I would want us to talk about everyone in general.
Yeah.
Later, we can focus on a Christian.
Okay.
Good. So imagine that we all know what is happening. I mean, when it rains within 15 minutes, you cannot even move out of your house.
Yeah.
There are so many things we see, like you're saying. I mean, vegetables are being pesticides and all that infused are no longer healthy as it used to be. What, in a very small way, in general, socially, can we do? So if I'm in my house, for example, just within my home, let's just take the home, not outside, not at my office, just within my home, what can I do?
Okay. Let me step back.
Okay.
Climate change is not a big topic for the media. It's not like sports. It's not like showbiz. So, as you say, but it's more African Cups is here. The whole media landscape, including,
It's marketable.
Yes, marketable. But climate change, what can we do? Number one, any topic you discuss with you. So that in the home, everybody is aware the changes that are happening.
Okay.
So our kids need to know, say, these are the reasons.
Okay.
This is what you can do. That's number one. Number two, Ebinosofi say, for instance, garbage. Is your try, so do with me if you got them. So, I need one other thing. Number three, minim the entire. Suddenly, Ghana, obi esi dan up a colored roof. Colored roof, color, a retaining heat. So, in those days, no, we so plain aluminium.
Yeah.
So that part of the thing can be reflected. But now you're retaining heat. Near say you so glass windows.
Yeah, so AC.
Yeah, so AC. So, instead of reducing our footprints, it demanding more. It's a question of what are we producing and what are we consuming, and no the air higher. And if it doesn't hurt in our tropics, I didn't know here glass a year. No, this one will be in a kit where busy. Now, percent from away from. You get the point. Yamia yawadum wesifie ubeko the whole compound no what tile. No green, no tree. Also, home. Yankopon in his wisdom, ohumia, and from mana and yenese ba out no, and also say idea, if I near Dianema only. You get the point.
Yeah.
So I think we can keep basic flowers, 1 or 2 trees in a compound. We don't have to tile everywhere, leave some green, manage our waste very well. If it doesn't hurt you, harvest rainwater, now they have water gardens. So there are all these small things are here. For instance, me in shop, MOB am a plastic bag, say matter adiam digu. Timbiam kita, I can't say, biodegradable, nikita. It best say, okwa koto adia, pe bag ayentuma. What on one other shim, handbag neshim. Now this question of makoto na debia, oh, one mame bag. One mame bag. Bag neko hinfa.
That's watching.
What the major no? So, wako out, me pe take away. The question you ask yourself is, who did you have? Box no, who to go hinfa? So, when we become aware of all these things, no, I was involved in one project, electronic waste management. Okay. And I'm asking you, Meneo, say, your car, your car filling station, see a service, you change engine oil now. You say, I say engine oil if you're going over.
So may change.
Me wristwatch, battery, me car near ye. Me mobile phone, battery near you, ma change it. Where does it end? You get the point?
Yeah.
You're taking all these things for granted. And the idea, I see a junior home. Maybe I'm now a watershed, only a 2 ball leg. And if you look at all the issues causing the global warming, back when water vapor. So when we have a huge dam like a water lake, vapor generating heat. I mean, if you are along the sea, you feel the heat. Yeah. Yes, that's number one. Number two, a normal air share, CO2, generating more CO2. We are using fertilizer. We are using animal cow dung. So producing all the nitrate. And at it, you know, as we say, air conditioner say, fridge say, gas na no digum no. And no na high. So when this time who say almost san. And these are some of the things we need to do. Mestre say, okwakoto adia, something like home use fridge, menkoto.
That's all we need to care.
You see, no crane say, okwakoto office but we try more. Because all fridge now will be a consumer energy into life on the be able to. So, indeed, what the cacrabi sauce now to this time there are a lot of products and your light bill comes down. So indeed, these are some of the small things, adjustments we need to do.
Yeah. Plastic
management, waste disposal, the way we manage our compound, the way we manage plastics, the way we construct our houses. We use more of natural system, natural air, and we can minimize our carbon prints. Yeah.
I think from all the examples that you have, made here, it shows that we probably need to a lot more education.
I agree.
Because we speak about climate change, but sometimes, like the way you have just put it, looking at the second-hand fridge, if somebody is not actually educating you on the fact that it costs you more to buy that, you would probably think about the short term and the fact that it's cheap and that's what you can afford. And so you buy it and then you go. So we probably would have to, apart from all the paperwork that we have in government, like you said, the radio stations are not interested. I don't know what will make them interested, but probably more work must be done and a lot of advocacy must be done because there's a lot that we can do. Just look at the number of things that you mentioned within our homes. And speaking about the plastic rubbers, we noticed that even now there's a trend of making banku in the house and fixing it inside the poly bags, the little rubber. And I know outside in some countries, especially in Europe, you said you don't even take your polythene, you don't even ask for it. And they actually tax it. So when you go to a shop and you want to buy something and you are asking for a polythene bag, they will ask you to pay for it. So it's not, maybe some of these things we need to, so when you go there, the person tells you, if you're in a shopping mall, you've gone from one shop to another and you have bags, you are still asking for more bags, which you end up probably throwing away anyway. So we need to, do a lot more. And I think everyone must be involved.
Yes.
Everywhere you find
Yes.
yourself.
Yes.
Since we know better.
Yes.
And hopefully our viewers who are listening to us have learned something, and they will also become ambassadors in speaking, because there's a lot that we can
Yes.
do.
Yes.
And it all starts from home.
From home. And also, I think we have to revisit our curriculum for education. I think there's a whole, it's disconnected. These are basic things that should be taught at the KG level, that we begin to grow with them. But it's like you go to school, you learn something, and when you are home, in your community, there's something else. And you don't know where the learning has to happen. And if we are parents like you and I, you leave in the morning, come in the evening, then there's a deficit at home.
Yeah.
So I agree with you. There's a whole knowledge out there that we need to bring into our space. Okay. So that we can also, the small mitigating measures, we can handle them. I mean, if you do away with plastic, I do away with plastic. Our colleagues here, they do some of these things. At least we can minimize the CO2 that we generate from our homes. Yeah.
I just want you to talk about burning.
Yeah.
Because I noticed that either it's because people feel it's expensive to pay for the refuge collecting companies to pick up their refuge. It's very common to see people actually burn rubbish.
Yeah.
How does that affect, or what effect does it have on climate change? Because it's a very common practice. You see people, no assistant in run, no wash it. Like.
So, share. In Musi, no, bano. From a bioma, carbon dioxide, we say make no tree. And the heat, no, a ba. Into say, for instance, if you are not NASA aircraft, ma, it too, a drew baby a hole in pa. Into one and yamia blanket, no.
Okay.
Into the real no bar. Na heat ni be a pim blanket na ka. Na amaya show. It is say, ye be na say. A show no dorsum, whether genset, whether adebia, ye di petrol, like ye diesel or generator or hano, a generating heat. It's ye ni in Ria Cassia, in Ria, almost a day and say, woman see what to be out or be training now, because I know so no, who to hear dinghy, into no, and ya just say, or what, when ya carbon dioxide. So it is a new what, that's our heat now, ye na ye no. A focus ra na kwa pim sa blanket no inti pima ne se sa ba form inti ba form no ne di sa heat na e di ye na sa ba inti sa heat no one ye ade bia ba ma sa heat no so beti anase ye due nua ha naturally ye beti can say what we are seeing. Okay. Sometimes if you say China, US, the cases so climate change, musika. But yes, we come. Yes, the way we manage our refuge. Accra is one of the polluted cities in the world. Wow. Because we call Russia, they are always burning. So, and maybe I said them from Manisi Bono. A boat if you ho at the back Accra. So we might think that Russia about 5 kilometers away, but from Ano. A barber can you know. So until a idea is serious. We share the toxicity levels. In from an air home in Accra, you know, no my home
All right, viewers. So I know we are all having a very good time, but we need to go on a short break. Remember that we are on our social media handles, Facebook and YouTube. If you have any questions, suggestions, you want to say anything, just send us a message, and right after the break, we will continue. Thank you.
With the growing challenges of life in light of both global and domestic development, the Christian is faced with the difficult task of balancing survival within a secular system and at the same time living a Christian life that pleases their Maker. It is for this reason that we need to have frank conversations on the many issues of life through the Christian lens. So, we bring to you Let's Talk About. On Let's Talk About, we talk about health, career, dating, marriage, family, divorce, politics, finance, and all the issues of life that the Christian is confronted with on a daily basis. Join us this and every Wednesday on the YouTube and Facebook pages of Trinity United Church Legon, and let's talk about life as Christians. With the growing challenges of life in light of both global and domestic development, the Christian is faced with the difficult task of balancing survival within a secular system and at the same time living a Christian life that pleases their Maker. It is for this reason that we need to have frank conversations on the many issues of life through the Christian lens. So, we bring to you Let's Talk About. On Let's Talk About, we talk about health, career, dating, marriage, family, divorce, politics, finance, and all the issues of life that the Christian is confronted with on a daily basis. Join us this and every Wednesday on the YouTube and Facebook pages of Trinity United Church Legon, and let's talk about life as Christians.
Welcome back to Let's Talk About. Just a reminder to our viewers, we are live on Facebook and YouTube. Keep your questions, your comments, your suggestions coming in. So before we went on the break, we were talking about climate change, and we are just about to start our conversation on how the Christian can help reduce the effect of climate change. So after all we have said, let's bring it home to the church, to Christians. What is our role? What can we do?
Okay. Our role, let me step back. You see, God created Adam. And God placed Adam in a garden. So when you are in a garden, and you can see the feeling if you are in a garden, it's different. Now, when Adam messed up, but even before he messed up, God gave him instruction to work and take care of it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So God's instruction was for preservation. Now, when he messed up, God added something that he work, and he used the word thorns and tassels. So Adam had to work using his own mindset. Yeah. So the topic of climate change, it started from that time, in my view. Mm-hmm. So since that time, it's my ability to produce and consume. And the dear baby drew baby away. You get the point?
Interesting insight.
Yes. Now, I think also in Isaiah, Prophet Isaiah made a statement that God did not create this earth for nothing, but he created for you and I, our habitation. So, Nyame was perfect plan for us. Yeah. So, from a Christian perspective, Nyame treasure is a bon by. Sometimes, yana have say, me who are sorry dime be brave or baby in you near Kwakusi are sorry dime. You get my point? Yeah. Nyame asheda and was say a hono is you for his own good. Inti ye empire ni adie nya ye nya bebia se baby in you no. The evangelism ko. Ni a feeling ho. Ni esi nyame dan. Ni akogina say e bompire. So these are some of the basic things. Now, coming back to the church, I think TUC, we are doing very well. I remember there was it last year, there was a whole sermon on man, environment, and God. Okay. Which was good. It was very insightful. We even handled something on environment and waste management. Very good. Some of our washrooms, they are biodegradable. We use the waste. I think we have to do more. Yeah. We have a lot of green here. But there are a few things I want to highlight. Okay, let's go ahead. For instance, weddings are, any events are, we should be slow in using takeaway packs. Until we are Christian now for takeaway pack, busa who say, me di we are, I didn't meet to go no. Number one. Mm-hmm. In the past, near communion, you use glass. You see, BB the COVID. And a baby in. Okay? So we went into pre-pack. Ufa communion you year, busa say, it's small plastic. No? Where is it going? So these are questions. So anything we can do to glorify God, it needs rethinking. Yeah. So in addition to what we can do in our various homes. Mm-hmm. Every Sunday, I like the Cocoa Ministry. it's being a binding force, and there are no two ways about it. I mean, you see people, they gather, they are talking. So it's giving a new generation. But we have to also think about what do we do with all the plastic cups?
That's true.
Every Sunday, maybe if you combine children's service and adult service, maybe 300 or 350 plastic, where do they go? What do you mean? So these are some of small things we can do to minimize our contribution towards global warming.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just going back to the Cocoa Ministry.
Yes.
If you are watching and you do not know what the Cocoa Ministry is about, at Trinity United Church, within our break, we have a whole ministry that serves cocoa, just so people who are probably hungry within the breaks can have some warm food to eat. So just because I want us to talk of solutions, we've identified the problem, like you mentioned, the Cocoa Ministry and the plastic cups. What do you think is something that we can do as Christians, for example, so we don't come on Sundays and have about 100 or 150, 200 pieces of plastic cups?
No, I think it needs education.
Okay.
And for me, the Cocoa Ministry is not people who have not eaten. I think it goes beyond that. For me, the bonding and the interaction, and the mere fact that people have put their own resources into it. I'm a promoter and a champion of the Cocoa Ministry.
Thing, yeah.
But I think going forward, you're educating Crawford who say, okay, who enjoy cocoa now? It has implications for environment.
Okay.
And as Christians, it be a contribution to say, can you bring your own cup? Can you bring your own, what do you call it? This, you can say.
Plastic bottles, no, your own bottle.
Your own bottles, and Kwalan the beheading. So, any one-off event. But I think more education
gradually.
Nkofobe adjust.
Sorry, and
yes.
you want to be part of the Cocoa Ministry, you
yes.
probably bring your own cups.
Yes. But we should be careful so that people don't
push.
say, it doesn't push people out, because it's a good ministry.
Right.
Yes.
I have a question for Reverend Dr. Martin Obeng. He says, thanks for the insight. Is it possible to reverse the system to what it used to be some decades past?
It's possible, but with human effort. We need concerted effort. If you look at what is going on, China is not agreeing with U.S. U.S. is fighting Ukraine. All the missiles that they are firing is adding to the heat. If you look at the 17-point agenda that I talked about, they are laudable. No poverty, no hunger, sustainable cities. Nice to watch. But if we don't address climate change, forget about all of them.
That's true.
I read, as part of this thing, I think Revelations somewhere, God says he himself would take care of his earth. I don't know how he's going to take care. But I think when we put our hearts together, it's doable.
Yeah.
Reduce our carbon footprints. Now in Europe, they are saying biking. You have to park your car and use a bike.
Exactly.
We can pool. Pool instead of several cars. No. Artiso.
Yeah.
That's true.
That's true.
I'm a lover. I believe in tree planting. Until heat no bar, you see all of us under tree. Now, if I maybe a bebo, so I think things like planting trees, do away something like obi per tile, or semi per home use tile, home second hand.
And yeah.
Wow, I did your BBC and you know. It's also part of the accident that we're having.
Yeah.
Over na thread na kaki to be if no mutugu. We are polluting the earth. So nti kakra bi ebetimi aye no se mene wo ye ya near the mpaibote near the nasem ye adwuma.
So you were talking about using the bike, carpooling. I think that we have to say that Trinity is doing very well with that. I noticed that when there are events, either they will have a bus that conveys people, and which is good. Yeah. Sometimes during church service, if they have to go and do welfare visitations, they ask people to park their cars and join. And so this is something that is laudable. And I think apart from it's being you extending some help to your neighbor, it's actually something that will go a long way in helping with the climate change. Okay, so let's talk about our environment here at Trinity United Church.
In fact, you see, Trinity is a model church. When you are here, you think, oh, everything is wrong until you go out there. So if you come to Trinity, you see a lot more green. And for me, that's what I admire. You know, you see all the elements. A lot more we have to do. Maybe integrate more solar systems, that we can cut down the use of our genset and hydroelectricity. And like I mentioned earlier, do a lot more of waste recycling.
Okay.
Even when we have to pave here, we should do, they call it the hard and the soft.
Okay.
That if you have a car park, it's not only pavement, but in between you put in trees so that you get a good balance. So we've started well, but there's a lot more we can do.
We use recycled water here.
Yeah.
Which is also something that...
Yes, we have some tanks at the back here.
Okay.
I remember Reverend Kisi asked me to make sure that we harvest rainwater.
Okay.
So I know the engineering that went in it. And sometimes I come back and I thank God that at least we're a good example of what it means to harvest nature.
Okay.
It's reduced our costs.
Okay.
I did all the calculation. It's amazing to see how much we have saved just by harvesting rainwater.
Okay, and this is something that we can actually do in our homes too. I think when we were younger, it was a very common thing to do. When it starts raining, we put the barrels or some buckets, and then we get...
Yes. I grew up in...
some water that can be used for flushing and a whole lot of,
Sure. I grew up in an environment where I live virtually my parents in the research, it's rainwater. In Accra, we're at the Madina Estate, we harvested rainwater. I had my own treatment plan because I asked for advice. They gave me all the drawings. For 10 months out of 12 months in a month, we're using rainwater that we harvested. And the money that we saved, we gave it to people who could not pay their school fees. So it was a whole ministry for us. Yeah. And I think we can all do the same thing. But I tell you, Trinity is a classic model church. And we should be proud of our church, the ministers that we have, the congregation. People are special here, except that we have to hold on to our faith, and the sky will be our limit.
Good. So there's a comment from Ruth Redu. Yes, education is the key. It should start from our basic schools. So Ruth agrees with what we're saying, that we should start from our basic schools, right from the primary school, and start teaching our kids.
I agree.
I think beyond the basic school is also our homes, like you had earlier mentioned.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So back to the church and Christians. Okay. There are a lot of things that goes on in society, and most of the time you see Christians shying away from it. And so I'm happy that you started off by citing the Garden of Eden, which makes this whole subject a biblical subject. Because sometimes people will ask you, where is it in the Bible? Why should we do it? Okay, so it means that this is a charge for us as Christians, that beyond just it not affecting us directly, we should also be thinking about our neighbors. Yeah. So it's beyond us. Yeah. And then we can do a lot more. Yeah. Since we are talking about Trinity and what we are doing as a church community, I would want us to talk about the bazaar, because I read that even using second-hand clothing is a way of reducing climate change. Yeah. And most people do not even know this, and they shy away from it. It's interesting how society has become. The things that are good for us, people laugh about them, people shy away from it. And so it will be hard for somebody to proudly say that I am someone that only uses second-hand clothing. But this is something that is helpful. And I was mentioning the Yaf Bazaar because it is a perfect example of what a church, so other churches can also do this, where they gather all the used clothing instead of just throwing them away, giving the opportunity for the community to use.
I agree with you. It's a very powerful ministry. I think I've had one-on-one conversation. My desire is to scale it up. Okay. The good thing for us is that we have access to Sunny FM. Omar FM is not too far. So I think let's package it, brand it differently, and then when the time is due, let people from far and near be part of this wonderful family. You see, sometimes people enjoy some privileges. Yeah, no more if you say, "Baby, we're doing na pejano." Into you are shy to say, "Me share second-hand clothes." There's nothing wrong with that. What am I saying? Even for we the men, including myself, me pay good leather shoe. I know I'll not get a brand new unless maybe I'm outside. Because I can papa nama. So, into young packaging no. Near my man for who say we are serving a need. Young branding and microphobe. It's a very good ministry. Omoba near the Nyamiasem na mom. So because people have different needs. Jesus they be dinechi. They be pediane. E bi so pe so obey omo hene. But onyabotre mo mu nyina. But each time no more message. Omo nya akoma pama no omo fa na asem. And I think for us at Tuesday, any place that we think we can touch the community so that they can be part of this wonderful family, we should go for it. And then we can grow our numbers. Maybe a channel. Yet me the normal evangelism in Kofoy, but yet the magnet is a center of attraction. In the coin be a first to be a nifan beba. Now should be our focus.
Okay. Yeah. I think we have another question by Amen Peters. I don't know if it's a he or a she. Interesting topic and brilliant insights from the guest speaker. I want to ask about the carbon financing. Is that actually a way to even out the effect of the climate change impact on countries?
Oh, yes.
So can you speak a bit about it?
Yes. And Kofo Binme who said the acquire omofaso a consume no produce no. Omuntimi what I'm struggling to pick my words. There are some who are consuming.
Okay.
And they are struggling to cut down. But they have the money. And what they are doing is say you or no contract. When you do this, I can reduce my carbon footprints. And for you to do that, I'll put this money in this seed account. If you do 1, 2, 3, then you earn some of the reserves now. So that globally, we can reduce the effect of climate change. I know one institution, I don't have their permission to mention their name. Omo app beer in part of Ghana, bush burn are prevalent. Omo map all the trees, the holding and they have title ownership. Inti uche duana system no betrigger. So the interesting thing is here, quite evaluation. Almost happening for 3 years now. Will be a phone share. So for me, it opened my eye that when people see the incentive package now, they respond. So I think the recommendation was that they should expand it and to cover all the country. It needs some work. But of course, in this era with drones and GPS, Google, it's easy to map. But it's an interesting thing. Now, if you plant a tree, 1, 2, 3, they have the threshold. You could profit from the carbon market.
Okay,
yeah.
All right. So back to Christians and what we can do.
Yeah.
I think one of the things that we can actually be doing is also speak out.
Yes.
Speak out and try and be part of the conversation.
Yeah.
Sometimes we are a little bit reserved when it comes to social issues, especially with topics like climate change. You know what it is that must be done, but when the conversations are happening in your offices, in the churches, amongst your friends, we mostly shy away from it.
Yeah.
One of the things that happens here also that I would want to highlight that has to do with the climate change, not directly, but has to do with the use of transport again.
Yeah.
So we see that there has been, I think last year we did something that was like a local market I don't know what it was called, but people who had vegetables and other things that were producing brought it to church.
Yes.
And were able to purchase from them.
Yes.
I think this is a good example of what we can incorporate into, I mean, even if it's quarterly, so that people don't have to travel far, because the more you are in your car riding, we don't have, I don't know if electrical cars have become common around here, but I heard that is actually better than what we are using now.
Yeah.
So to prevent us from maybe leaving my house every weekend and going all the way to a far away market, such a program or event where we patronize locally produced food items, I think it's also a laudable.
It's super good. I don't have your husband's permission, but I know anytime he brings in the produce, he knows that that is where we buy from. Because then we know the source. And everybody is looking at healthy products. So that's what I'm saying, it's a unique church.
Yeah.
And I want to re-emphasize that we are not even aware of what we have as TUC. So we should tone down the way we complain and look at the positive. You don't find it in most churches.
Yeah.
So and I know Sofo has that ministry at his heart. I'm sure very soon we'll have another session.
Another session.
Yes.
It is very good.
And it's the binding and the fellowshipping.
Yeah.
The cocoa people sell, the Yab Bazaar. So we have a new generation that is cross-cutting.
Yeah.
They mingle with everybody. And it's, in Christendom, that's what we want to see.
And solving a lot of social issues, including climate change, by doing that.
That's it.
We have another question by Misty. A friend of mine traveled to Kenya and found out that plastic bags were banned.
Yeah.
Anytime you buy anything from a shop, a reusable or biodegradable bag is sold to you at a small price. Why can't this be implemented in Ghana to address the issues of climate change? I think we spoke about it, and I was saying how they should actually tax us. It's too much. I personally don't like the black rubber. So I would do anything to just, it's just too much. Everywhere and when it's raining, that's when you see what we do with our, it's bad.
Yes.
And they choke our gutters, and so why can't Ghana do?
We have the law, we have the account where deductions can be made straight in the account and they use it. You know, this polluter pay principle, we have everything.
So what is happening?
Well, I'm restraining myself from making a public comment.
It's good.
Yes, so, but, yes, we have everything.
We have everything.
Yes, you just need somebody who says, I'm in to do the dirty work.
Okay. Even
Even after my term, if you don't vote for me, I'm willing to do so. And the little experience I've seen that we are here to see that person.
We pray that someday soon.
Some of them have taken bold decisions.
We will get.
And I don't want to turn this place into.
Yeah.
You see, every president has something that they want to do.
Okay.
Which is good. But at the same time, we should be mindful of some of the emerging teams and put a break to it. If Kenya has been able to do
Why
it,
not Ghana?
Rwanda has been able to do it, are they different from us?
Yeah.
Yeah, we need to step up.
Okay.
Yeah.
We have another question by Julius Kwashi. How do we roll back the damage we have caused? I see a lot of estates springing up with no trees in sight. Homes are relying more on air conditioning for cooling. Grounds are becoming more concrete. How do we roll it back?
Talk about it.
Yeah.
Talk about it. And then two, if you have an opportunity to also do something different, you show the difference.
That's true.
Yes. I'll show one example. When we're trying to construct our home, we bought plain aluminum. We had 3 families walking to us, questioning why we're using plain aluminum. Because the trend is to use a colored roof. And I had to explain, please, we don't want to invest in products that will generate additional heat.
What was their concern?
Oh, they thought that the village guy has come.
You are coming to spoil the aesthetics of the neighborhood.
So I told the man that the beauty of a house does not lie on the color of the sheet. And I had to explain to him. And I showed him the price differential. And he bought into it.
Yeah.
So if I've been able to convince 3 of them, I think let's talk about it.
Yeah.
I go to the north and my heart bleeds.
Wow.
The weather is hot.
Extremely.
They are using, what do you term it, glass windows, colored roof.
In the north?
In the north. It's a trend.
Wow.
And nobody can sleep. So if you don't have an AC, you cannot sleep.
I think the education needs to be...
Traditionally, they use earth building, earth material.
And put the thatch.
If it's cold, it is warm inside. If it's hot, it is still habitable. So a lot of education.
Yeah.
Not to follow the trend.
A lot.
Yes.
And so it starts from our homes.
From our homes. And then some of the decisions that we take. Yeah. Let your child know that it is fine to buy a used clothing and invest in education.
Yeah.
You know, so that they don't fall into this trend of buying new thing, and throwing away their shoes. No.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Another question by Daniel. Does climate change have a good effect at all? We've been talking about the negative. Daniel wants to know if there's anything positive about climate change.
Oh, yes.
Okay, so
yes.
if you can speak about...
It's allow investments into research.
Okay.
Because of climate change issues, for once, all the big shots are able to sit at the same table and have a conversation. Because now Americans cannot say, no, it's not me. Or the French people say, c'est pas moi. You get the point. But now, because it's become a global topic that borders on human rights, okay? So human rights is a big topic. When people are displaced, income levels, sustainable incomes, overnight, they are eroded. So it's a big topic. So people who were not even talking are now beginning to sit and have a conversation.
Okay.
I do know in the sub-regions, for instance, all the presidents are beginning to have a conversation because it looks like cashew is becoming an important crop. So all the countries around the sub-region are beginning to invest in cashew because they know that very soon cocoa will disappear.
Okay.
So it's giving a certain level of awareness. But is what we do or we don't do with that awareness remains the
problem.
Yeah. We are now going to climate smart agriculture. So without climate change, nobody would dare to. Yes. New pests are coming up. Doctors are seeing new diseases. So there's new knowledge, new evidence.
Even so advanced technology.
Advanced technology, yeah, education. So it allows for new thinking and new investments.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. It's good.
We have more questions. So this is a suggestion by Amen Peters. Can we have tree planting as a national agenda? Each household should plant at least one plant in their compound. Oh,
the agenda is there already.
It is.
We have National Tree Planting Day. The good news is that, again, on Trinity campus, most of the trees that you have, with the exception of neem, are, are good trees for landscaping.
Okay.
We have the Aki apple, the one that you have the fruiting. If you plant it close to your building, it will never disturb the building because the roots, they go down straight. You also have the, what we call the mimoso. If you are driving to the 37, before the circle, within the medium, you see a tree, green, it's always green. It's called mimoso. They are very good for landscaping. Yeah, there are quite about 4 of them, and most of the trees are very, but don't pick neem. Neem will pull down your building. Oh. Yeah, so any other tree that you find on Trinity campus is good for landscaping. So
it means that there is a national day for tree planting. Yes. Is this something we do?
Yeah, it's been on for the past 2 years.
So it means that it's something that is ongoing every time, at least once a year.
Yes.
There is a National Tree Planting Day.
Yes.
And there's something happening on Friday. I thought I saw the Reverend Joe Mante. There was a flyer that I saw that had to do with the 9th, which is Friday.
Yes.
That there should be tree planting in all
what
Presbyterian schools. And
yes, he's taken up the national policy and said, we don't want government alone to do it. Which is good. We'll join the government to implement government agenda so that when government is also strained, we'll have the right to also bring government to book. Yeah. So it's good that he's pushing the Presby Church. I know the Methodist Church is doing the same. Yeah. Maybe it's something we also have to do. Yes. So maybe when you go home and you have some space, come get one tree and plant in your house. Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes one tree, research has shown that during a period in the time, the energy that it provides, the cooling effect is just like having a 2.5 horsepower AC in your room.
Imagine.
So that is how it works.
I think it's back to education.
Yeah.
Because when we are backing these research with the numbers, it makes it easier for people to actually understand. Yeah. We have a comment from Nana Oye. In Kenya, especially Nairobi, if you want to cut a tree in your house, you need permission before you can cut it. Looks like Kenya is doing a lot.
Ghana, we have the same law.
What?
That's what I'm saying. Ghana, when it comes to paperwork,
so
my sister, we don't have any problem.
We need
it's the will to
yeah.
get it done. So you cannot, you need a permit in Ghana, like those streets along Lagos Avenue, I see them cutting them.
Yeah, gradually.
And they are not even planting. And for me, when I'm on that road, is the trees. But I see them one after the other, they're removing them, no replacement. So she's right. In Kenya, you dare not. They will send you to jail or they will fine you heavily. Yeah.
Okay.
So.
All right. So another comment by Nana Uye. It's been raining a lot these days, but the weather is still hot.
Yeah.
And I believe it's due to climate change.
Sure.
Thanks for the knowledge. I hope we can put it into practice to help. As Christians, I think that we have the knowledge now. We know what should be done. I think it's something that we should, as good citizens and as Christians, take it up and then do.
Yeah, we have to.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that we must be running up now. And so I would want you to tell our viewers, what would you say as your final words? One, on climate change. So in a summary, what the exact impact, what the future is if we do not take measures now, and what we as Christians, the simplest things we can do to mitigate this situation.
Okay. Climate change. Yango pombo wiase no. Waye wiase say inya balance because bibia e pepepe. Enti di empe no enua eso de ye adwuma no mama yeframa enti si yi nua no free ho a nyame nhihye mu no etosini so enoma ye no edi ohyew eba kese more heat no kosro a na kwakopem na saba enti when we don't take steps to stop that train ebeka kan ye na mane yi shirt because it will become very hot. So some of the things that I mentioned, like in our homes, we don't need glass windows, simple louvers to the ground, make it that is more secured. We can minimize the use of AC. If you go to, I'm digressing a bit, if you go to the lake, the dam, Akosombo Dam, during lunchtime, you see a lot of water gushing because on my system, such as say, also AC baby, it trigger demand. Into say, turbines, they move big kese. Then you to generate that. You can see it. So what can we do to also minimize the consumption of energy? So, obi to be kotoka 3.5 liter. No, them no so easy. Burning fuel because when you sika. Maybe a small 1.4 liter can make some saving. You don't need colored roof. Once again, ufie a coin to 2000 baby need do about one and do away with plastics. Ye no more we are a bit hydrogen. Name fat nyamiasem finally and yejuma. Because no money in our Bible. Uncle Jeremiah Namisi a Tatian. The land that he has given us, we have abused the land. So God is complaining. It's there. So as Christians, let's walk by what we believe in, our faith, and do the basic ones. The NTB, part. So that one day, when God calls you and I, we'll be able to say, Papa, when I'm to me, you women to me and your father. I don't have a concluding comment.
I am tempted to just read out this last question. It's from Senior KD. Is there hope that we will be able to address climate change before it is too late?
There's hope.
There's hope?
It's been happening. It's been happening. Except that now I intense, so we feel it. But it's been there. Except that we are not paying attention. Nobody talks about it. Yeah. So let's continue to talk about it. Yeah. Sorry?
So even as Christians, we can start off as ambassadors.
Yes.
We don't have to wait for the government.
No.
So the little that we can do in our quarter, it's not too late.
Yes.
We can all be part of the solution.
Yes.
And then together we should be able to reduce the effect We can't say we are going to stop it completely. That would take some time.
Yeah.
So at least reduce the effect of climate change, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right then. Okay. So we've had a very good time. I have a final question. I'm so happy that you are being engaged, and I see that everybody is curious about climate change as much as we are. So this is the very last question. How does climate change affect food supply? I know we're summarizing, but I think this is a very important question.
You see, when you do, if I take, for instance, commodity flow analysis.
Okay.
Let's take yam. We have the hot areas, the production areas. Let's say Yendi, beyond Techima, whatever. If you track them, they are produced and they are transported to Accra.
Okay.
Farmers, in their wisdom, they know that the rains may start, for instance, in May, and then they will prepare their lands, hoping that they will have consistent rainfall. Now, if it doesn't rain, it means the volumes that we're expecting will not have them. If it doesn't rain, it means the investment that the farmers have made, they cannot even recoup their money, let alone expand their business. If you are looking for a tuber of yam that weighs about 5 kilo or 4.5, you might not get them. You get a smaller one. So once it affects food supply, and anytime we don't have food to eat, there's no peace at home.
Yeah.
You get the point? And the worst affected people are our children, the girls, and mothers. Every potential mother will want to make sure that the kids eat, and I don't know how you people manage to sleep. So it's a big thing. So it's not just the food. So it has a ripple effect in the home. And perhaps the little that will sell, if the man is a macho man, he puts everything in the pocket, and then the next time he's drunk somewhere. So once we're able to secure, we cannot change it. So what we also need to do is to invest in research, that people can now begin to grow crops that can do well with little rainfall and even harsh conditions. Until we do that, poverty is staring at our doorsteps. And we'll have more conflicts, we'll have more tension, we'll have more toxic conversation both in church and then at homes. And then when you tell somebody Christ, they say, it's very difficult for me to even experience Christ in my home. So it has a knock-on ripple effect. Yeah.
Thank you. I would like to say a very big thank you to Mr. Atai Japon for spending this evening with us and educating us on the issue of climate change. I hope you learned something. Have a good evening. My name is Edinam Ejesika. I was your host for the day. See you same time next week. And do your best as a Christian in your community to reduce the effect of climate change. Bye.